All right. We are going to jump to our second book that you should have picked up in your bag when mom or dad or whoever came and picked up your things from school. And so you need to make sure that you are in your volume 2 book. This is the book we used at the very beginning of school, and I said we'd go back to it. Well, we're heading back to it. All right. We're actually going to skip to page 419. And so it should look like this. You should have a picture of some kids on some stairs. They are at school and they're counting the steps. We don't have steps at our school, but if we did, they'd probably look something very similar to these. All right. But before we get into that, what I'd like to do is I'd like to review a little bit with you. All right. We have learned how to subtract things like this, right? So we know that 7 minus 6 is 1. We know that. That's a given, right? It's easy. That's something we learned a long time ago. Then from those steps, we learned that 60 minus 40, 0 minus 0 is 0. 6 minus 4 is 2. Okay, gives us 20, right? And if you know that 6 minus 4 is 2, that should be fairly simple. Well, we are going to move on again to 3 digits. We just finished the 3-digit addition, so now we're going to jump right into 3-digit subtraction, and it is very, very similar. Again, if you know your basic facts of things like 4 minus 2 gives you 2, then you know that 400 minus 200 gives you 200. Okay? If you know this fact family right here, then you should have no trouble with any of these problems that we're about to work on. Okay? All right, so you should be on page 419 looking at some steps. Should look like that, right? And it says, there are 400 steps in my school. My class decides to walk up all of the steps. We have walked up 300 already. How many steps do we have left? Now your sheet says to draw base 10 blocks, and we could do that. So there are 400 steps, right? Remember our base 10 blocks are the big squares when we're talking about hundreds. And it says they have 400 steps and they've already walked up 300. How many do they have left? 100, right? Well, in a number sentence, it would look like this. 400 minus 300 equals. Or we could even write it this way. 400 minus 300. Remember, we're lining them up. We always start with our ones and move to the left. Or excuse me, I'm looking at it upside down. I'm sorry. We always start with the right and move to the left. I'm looking at this upside down. It's very hard to read upside down. All right. So let's go ahead and turn to the next side. The next side, you have basically some subtraction problems here. We have 800 minus 100. Well, if you know what 8 minus 1 is, then you know what 800 minus 100 is. Again, we start over here with our ones column, then we move to our tens, then we move to our hundreds. Okay, so number 1 should be 700. Oh, number 2. I'm glad they gave us this one to practice together. So we have 200 minus 200. Guess what? That's just 0. 1 0. That's all you need to write there. Okay. Go ahead and do 3, 4, 5, and 6 right now. If you'd like, pause the video, and when you come back, I will have the answers for you. right, number 3, you should have 600. Number 4, you should have 200. Number 5, you should have 400. And number 6, you should have 400. All right, so those are the answers you should have. So if we're subtracting 3-digit numbers and they end with zeros, if you know what the hundreds fact family would be, for instance, if it's 400 minus 200, if you know what 4 minus 2 is, you have that 400 minus 200 already, okay? Your independent page here, which is page 421, very similar, all right? Very, very similar. You're just subtracting. If you know what 8 minus 3 is, then you know that 800 minus 300 is, all right? Again, if they're the same two numbers being subtracted, it's just a single, just a single zero on there, all right? Look down here at the bottom. You have 800 minus 0. We know anything minus 0 is the same number. So this answer is 800. Then on the back side, you have 2 problem-solving skills here that I want you to remember. You're subtracting, all right? In the Brain Builder, I want you to do that one since we're subtracting in hundreds. It should be too hard to do. Just read it carefully and underline the things that you need to know. And then I do want you to tell me, I want you to tell me in words. I don't want numbers down here, guys. No numbers. No numbers. Tell me in words, how is subtracting hundreds like subtracting ones? How is subtracting hundreds like subtracting ones? Okay? Think about that. And then you have your homework page. Very similar. And then you have your back side here. All right? Yes, I want you to go ahead and do 12 and 13. And don't forget to do number 14. All right. If you have questions about any of these pages, please have Mom or Dad send me a message and let me know what you're having trouble with so that I can make sure I get you on the right track. All right. Good luck.